Hey everybody. I went for a super evening walk this evening, super late, super wonderful evening walk. And just like to listen to that. Like my dog's rolling around on the ground, like itching her back. But listen, like to the crickets. It's so beautiful. I don't know what all you can see, but you hear the frog? And man, there's like fish that are jumping out of the water. Maybe one will jump out in a second. And this big old bullfrog. God, life is just so hard. You know, my friend just told me that there was someone that he heard through like the police scanner, 16 years old, quote, offed themselves. My middle school daughter goes to school with a boy who just got diagnosed with a heart defect. He's on the waiting list. He went from the track team to, being out of state, hospitalized, in a day, at 13, 14. You just like never know what could happen. Not even the fucking big things, because odds are like the big things aren't going to happen in any given moment. It's just like the fact that you have to say like, quote, offed, everything is censored and it's sanitized. And we just feel so empty, and we look to like these celebrities and these politicians and everybody we look to. It's like they've been compromised for, ever, question mark, for so long. Look how pretty the trees look there with the sky in the background. And it's so good. It's so good. Do not please fall for the nostalgia trap of, oh God, the 90s. I just, I just came my pants. Pardon my crudeness. But, the 90s, the early 2000s. Now people get nostalgic for 2010s. And, I know what they mean. We all know what the past was. But, like, it wasn't anything. It's just, it's just no longer the present. That's the difference. And I mentioned this in another video. A great way to kind of overcome the nostalgia trap and to get out of, romanticizing the not so romantic past is to, did you hear that? Did you hear that flip? That was just a fish that flopped out of the water like crazy. I'm not showing that because obviously it's too dark, but that was cool. I don't know if it came on video, but right now, to think about the reality of now, right now, will at one point in the not so distant future be the past. We are going to look back at this moment potentially and say, man, these were the good old days if we had only known. So what does that mean? At every moment in this moment of now of our life, we are going to look back and say, these were the good days. So God, don't fall for it. The 90s, what was great about the 90s, you can reenact now, The only real difference was social media and then there's the transgender stuff, but it's like everything just evolves and changes. And when something is done in bad faith, then at some point what's done in the dark will come to the light. It's the nature of the beast. It's going to circle back and become, eating your own. So, thank God it's not the past. I knew in the 90s fucking weren't that great. Ask Rodney King how great the 90s were. You know what I mean? Like, we can always look back and say that was great, or we can always look back and say that was horrible. So just, let's calm down, okay? And let's just love now, because now is going to be the past in the blink of an eye. But it doesn't have to be like that. Thank God we know, because I knew since 1989 slash 1990, when I first really began to like remember my conscious thoughts and be aware of myself. Why is it showing that circle? I don't know, my phone. But I remember, just I have talked about it a million times, coming into reality in preschool, going out into the world and being like, something feels wrong. Going to church and being like, something feels wrong. You could feel it. We could all feel it in our bones. Everybody that was told, like, that they didn't fit, or even if you weren't told anything and it just felt like it wasn't fitting very well, and it being you into, you know, it being life, if you just feel like you didn't fit. And now we know why. It wasn't us. It wasn't us. They tried to tell us then that it was us, through the church. They tried to tell us through the state, which we know is Hollywood, by saying, "Oh, you're not thin enough. You're not cool enough. You're not, corporate enough. You don't have this product or that product." They try to tell us now by saying, "You have this diagnosis," and now it's come full circle. So it's actually saying, "No, you don't have this diagnosis." It's like, God, it's not us. We aren't flawed. There's no such thing as being fucking, born wrong. We just are. That's the lie, that we aren't enough. And we've been like trying to like, cram ourselves into all these fucking boxes. And if you're anything like me, you were told it was for explanation and enhancement. And, oh, okay, what next? Because this is the box, the parameters gave it structure. But it turns out that the box, it was just a smaller and smaller prison. It was just a different prison, like over there, not over here. And now we know, and that's the beautiful, beautiful thing about now that sucked about every other time in the past. Now we fucking know. I saw a video by Bette Midler today. I didn't fucking watch it. I don't watch these people, but, it was just a video. I saw it, and it was, God, it was her like it was just a frozen image from the music video, I guess, or maybe it was like a behind the scenes making of plus the video. I don't know. I did not watch it, but it was Bette Midler, the Bette Midler. I fucking loved Hocus Pocus. I loved her in Hocus Pocus. I watched her HBO show when I was a small child, and it left a mark. And I was like, wow, this woman is cool. She is unique. She is talented. She could sing. She could, she was funny. She had stage presence. Her like HBO show, the one, I guess it would have been from approximately 1994 maybe, was the shit. And as a kid, it blew my mind. And then when Lady Gaga fucking blatantly, as Lady Gaga does, you're like, okay, we don't, now we don't have to lie about her anymore. She's a fucking ripoff. She's just like a mask. Fucking do it yourself, lady. We know you're creative. We know you're zany. We get it. You're a wild card. Fucking then come up with your own shit. Not the girl with the dragon tattoo, not Bette Midler, mermaid in a wheelchair. To even like attempt to take that as your own, the gall. But anyway, Bette Midler called her out quick, like, too, when she did try to do the mermaid in a wheelchair thing. But so anyway, Bette is a fucking living legend, like Robert De Niro, like all these like fucking dipshits. And God, you have had an amazing life. So blessed, so lucky, so privileged, so lush. You could fucking open up an animal hospital, a sanctuary, a blood drive. I mean, I'm just like, I thought animals, but there's so many things, a food bank, whatever. You could do it. You could do it. You could just sit back and fucking kick your feet up. But if you are in your 70s and you have had a dream life and you have a millionaire and you can do anything and all you can do is stick these fucking corny ass posters behind you and say, "Oh, no kings. Ooh, I'm going to, talk my shit." God, that is sad. That is so sad. But that is where we're at. Every star we see is dead. This is what they fucking tell us, and we are stardust. So what's that say? God, do you see what I'm saying? So now, thank God it's not the 90s, because now we know. And it's like what to do And the only thing we can do is live our lives. Just be ourselves. Do what the fuck we want to do. But if you feel empty, if you feel down, if you feel less than, and we know that everybody does in some way, shape, or form, it is by fucking design. And, then stop fucking reaching for the thing, scrolling, listening to what somebody else says, buy this thing, buy this cream, do this, do that, get this credential, get this diagnoses. It doesn't fucking help because it is outside of yourself. It's the ultimate joke. You have to go inside of yourself. That's what she said. God, I wish my mind hadn't been in the gutter, but here we are. But you do. You have to fucking close your eyes to see. You do. You have to go internally because this fucking world is a sham. Okay? It's a fraud. And I mean, I don't hate it. I don't hate these people. Not anymore. I'm working on it. And but it's not, it's by design, and they're playing their part, and they had to fucking do it for us to see. We had to be blinded so we could ultimately wipe the gunk out of our eyes and wake up to this fucking plastic ass botulism filled bullshit matrix and say, wait a second, who am I? What am I doing with my life? It is up to me to answer that. So I best answer with some fucking inward reflection, with some discernment, and with some love. Y'all have a good night.